Survival is arguably the main goal of life. To continue one's existence as long as you can, and to reproduce, to make sure that your like is around forever. But most would agree that there is more to life than staying alive. Even most dragons have their own joys and entertainment, whims that they follow, just to have a good time. But there is one that will disagree. There is one dragon that cares for little much else. White dragons, also known as ice dragons, and I've even heard some refer to them as frost worms, are seen as survivalists. They are excellent hunters and brutally animalistic, to the point where they are seen as lesser by some of dragonkind. And they are the smallest and weakest of the chromatic dragons. But do not use this as an excuse to scoff them off, because they are still formidably powerful beyond most men. Their intelligence is also an important point of note. See, they are seen as stupid by dragon standards. Well, their intelligence is actually on par to that of the average humanoid, but in the eyes of most dragons, that is exceptionally low. But their brains also work quite differently too, as despite their low intellect, they have memories to be envious of. Ice dragons are known to remember all the facts about an event, to the point where they can recall how they got all the items in their hoard, down to every last coin. This is more instinctual than something they actually try to do. They can't help it, nor do they want to do it. This is just part of their nature. However, they only remember the pure facts of the matter. For example, a white dragon will remember, I got these 150 gold coins from an orc warlord, but not how angry it was at the orc at the time, as the orc cut the dragon in its fight. It remembers the events, but no emotions or any concepts that are attached to them. They are the very definition of instinctual in this regard, and very much act on momentary spurs. This might explain one of their favourite pastimes. See, ice dragons pride themselves on being the best hunters. They love flying over their land, hunting for their next meal. They will always go for the largest and strongest game that they can. But they only think in the moment, so it's quite easy and common that they hunt a species into extinction. They do not have any concept of preservation, and will quite easily hunt just for the fun of it. In fact, some do this so much that they kill more than they actually need just for the fun of it. Maybe as a challenge to see how many they can kill in one day, or how quickly they can fell a mighty beast, or perhaps how many things they can freeze with one blow of its mighty ice breath weapon. Whatever strikes its fancy in truth. They are very fond of taking trophies of some of the largest beasts they have killed. Many a giant bone, skull, fur, or hide has been taken to their lair. And I suppose this is the perfect segue to talk about their hordes within them, as they are more simplistic than most dragons in this regard. They have a simple love when it comes to their treasures, and that is its shine. They love shiny objects, such as newly minted coins, and this is why silver is their favourite coin, as its shine is most evident. They also prefer the clearer and cleaner gemstones, as they reflect perfectly, but they also have a particular fondness for diamonds above all others. They also love amplifying this shine, as they love to freeze their treasures against the very walls of their lair, behind a massive wall of ice, and they love adding spots where the sun's rays can directly hit them, forming a kaleidoscope of sheen and colour. But I should also note their large exception to this, which is the trophies of beasts and foes that they have killed, which they usually display on top of or underneath their icy displays of beauty. But here is a major problem when trying to gift or please a white dragon, and I will try to be very clear on this point. Do not offer them something on your current person. They will view it as an insult. See, most white dragons are very matter of the fact and to the point, as previously mentioned. If you are ever in a scenario where you are talking to a white dragon, it will be asking itself the same question over and over again. Why should I not kill them and take their things? and if you offer it something that you currently have on you, it will think you think it's incapable of killing you, and just taking it for themselves. What you should do is offer it something else, something you don't have on you currently, and that only you know about. Something that the dragon could not get without your help, and something it doesn't even know about. But you're going to have to convince it of its value. Do not offer it the likes of a small hoard of wealth, as it thinks it can very easily get that on its own. Instead, offer it something like a magical item or a unique gemstone. Of course, you might have to lie to the dragon, because not everyone has these items, but they are the worst at sniffing out lies, so out of all forms of dragon, this is the only one I actually suggest you lie to. They live within cold, mountainous peaks, but this is not actually their favorite terrain. In fact, it's hard to say that they even have one, but you will rarely find them anywhere else. As previously mentioned, they are the weakest of chromatic dragon kind in most regards, so what usually happens is the younger wormlings flock throughout the land looking for new homes, but only the ones who head to the snowier regions tend to survive, as the others just fail to compete with their dragon neighbours, to the point where some dragons view them as the thugs of their kind. This is why you only really tend to find their lairs within the cold lands of the north. But it works out well, as it matches their cold and stoic nature, as well as their breath weapon. But they also love making their lairs within vast ice caves, so it saves them a lot of time finding one instead of making one. But you should be careful when entering their lairs, as the reflective ice can be blindingly bright, as well as slippery. And like all dragons, they also affect the region magically as a whole. But unlike most chromatics, it only really tends to be the older ones that are actually strong enough to do so. This is a good thing actually, as if the wormlings who migrated across the world could actually change it, the world would be very cold, as the older ones can make the very temperature around them colder. But they can also make a consistent fog and frozen precipitation eclipse the land within miles of its lair. Also, most sources of water will start to freeze, causing all sorts of problems I'm sure you can imagine. They are very careless to their local region in this regard, and they might even kill all life around it, perhaps indirectly, but maybe even by overhunting, so a lack of life can be another sign of their presence. If you plan to kill a white dragon, you should bring the usual supplies and equipment, such as dragon-killing weapons. And as always, they are completely immune to their own breath weapon and element, that being ice and cold. But they are also highly resistant to being blinded, as their eyes are used to the shine and ice reflecting off the bright sun. So, taking away their vision is going to be quite hard. But they are some of the least magically gifted dragons, so perhaps you can use spells in combination to overwhelm them. And again, they tend to not think about things ahead, so they might even leap and jump towards traps made of ice, or even the traps they set up themselves, as they only really think in the moment, and can be used to your advantage in combat. Most of them don't actually tend to keep any minions of any form, as they don't really think in the long term. Killing and eating an ogre seems way better in the moment than actually getting him to work for you so that he can gain more things later. And those who actually do tend to keep minions have to keep the type that are okay with constantly losing their own numbers, as they will often kill them all the time, for no particular reason. If you are looking to work with or serve an older dragon, white ones are to be avoided. I highly advise you avoid them in all forms of business. They are a constant hassle to work with, as they just simply don't understand a lot of concepts that are just second nature to us. But their own enjoyment can be seen as a weakness in a way, as they get easily distracted by momentary pleasures and whims, to the point where it is a nightmare to set up any form of long-term plan with the dragon, as it just won't sustain them. Like most chromatic dragons, the older ones tend to avoid all other dragons they come across, but white wormlings are very much the exception to this, as they work with most and are the most commonly adopted type of dragon by, well, anyone. With these facts combined, it's no surprise that white dragons tend to be the most diverse when it comes to personalities. True, it's a lot more common to find white dragons as I have previously described, but they are the most likely ones to be different or to change their views. They very much follow their own whims in most regards, and this even extends to their reproduction. See, white dragons don't actually plan to have kids at any point. When two white dragons like the look of each other, they just have sex for fun, with no thought behind it, other than personal enjoyment in the moment. If children are to be had after the moment, then so be it. The females will lay the eggs near one of their lairs, not out of care, but more so convenience, and they will not look after them. This is another reason why they tend to be one of the most adopted type of dragon, because their eggs are not protected in any way. They're just left there out in the open. The parents won't attack their young, but they won't care for them either. If the wormling wishes to learn from their parents, they will simply have to observe and learn via witnessing them and copying them. But they are just as likely to leave their family's domain, or even turn hostile towards their own parents. They are also foolish enough to try this when they are exceptionally young too, so they will almost always get killed. The smarter ones actually leave and come back when they are older and stronger. Those are the few that are actually successful. Mind you, if, like many a young child, you've had the dream of riding and bonding with a chromatic dragon, you are more likely to do so with an ice dragon. See, due to their low intelligence and their isolationist nature, they tend to be the most sought-after wormlings. Not just because they tend to die quickly, but because they are simply easy to indoctrinate. Most egg hunters tend to target white dragons and view them as the easiest to secure. And unlike most other chromatic dragons, their eggs can hatch without any requirements. Wow. They do much better in cold environments, but not only is this not needed, but it is nowhere near as extreme as the other dragons. The dragon I ride is a white dragon, if you care to hear of them. Well, they're a bit of an anomaly, as they were raised by an ancient red dragon, and the magic of their horde altered him slightly at a young age. Because this has led to their many stripes of red scales across their bodies, and their horns resembling that of a red dragon's. He's also able to breathe a fireball, though I should state it's not easy for him to do so, and he very much prefers his ice breath. Hybrids like this are very rare, and I'm very fond of him, to the point where I even view him as one of my closest friends. His name is Zumuk the Broken, a title he was given as an insult by most of his kind, but now he wears it with pride, as his father was the one to give it to him, and we killed him long ago. I met him when he was young. We were both hired by a distant lord from a foreign land who had heard of both of our unique talents. I rode him into battle, and the two of us worked together to kill a rampaging hydra. We didn't get along at first, but over that one mission we started to get along very well. It also helps that his colours match my family's colours, and most adventurers who've been around as long as I have tend to need a mount as powerful as a dragon. And he definitely needed some guidance in a few regards due to his young age. So I think it was the perfect match, come to think of it. But that's enough about me and these dragons. I think I need a drink, preferably a colder one. Thank you for listening to my tales. I am the Ashspawn. Feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. It really means a lot to me. But till next we meet, fellow traveller, have a good day.